Hey, family. This is day 26 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we're covering Exodus chapters 30, starting in verse 22 through chapter 33. And so where we are right now is that Moses is on Mount Sinai and he's been receiving the instructions of the tabernacle, receiving the instructions for the priestly garments and some of the instructions for anointing the priests. And so we're going to see how that ends today and what dire narrative we're going to be a part of today. So let's get started. And the Lord said to Moshe, "Take the best spices, 500 shekels weight of liquid myrrh, and of sweet cinnamon half as much, that is, 250 shekels, and 250 shekels of sweet calamus, and of cassia 500 shekels weight, measured by the scale of the holy place, and of olive oil a hin. And make these into a holy oil, a perfume made by the art of the perfume maker. It is to be a holy oil. This oil is to be put in the tent of meeting, and on the ark of the law, and on the table and all its vessels, and on the support for the lights with its vessels, and on the altar for burning spices, and on the altar of burned offerings with its vessels, and on the washing vessel and its base. And you are to make them most holy. Anything touching them will become holy. And put the oil on Aaron and his sons, making them holy, to do the work of the priests to me. And say to the children of Israel, This is to be the Lord's holy oil from generation to generation. It is not to be used for man's flesh, and no other is to be made like it. Holy it is, and you are to keep it holy. Whoever makes any like it, or puts it on one who is not a priest, will be cut off from his people." And the Lord said to Moshe, "Take sweet spices, stacte and onycha, and galbanum, with the best frankincense, in equal weights, and make from them a perfume, such as is made by the art of the perfume maker, mixed with salt, and clean and holy. And put some of it, crushed very small, in front of the ark in the tent of meeting, where I will come face to face with you. It is to be most holy. You are not to make any perfume like it for yourselves. It is to be kept holy to the Lord. Whoever makes any like it for its sweet smell will be cut off from his people." And the Lord said to Moshe, "I have made selection of Bezalel, the son of Uri by name, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah, and I have given him the Spirit of God, and made him wise and full of knowledge, and an expert in every sort of handiwork, to do all sorts of delicate work in gold and silver and brass, in cutting stones for framing, and to do every form of woodwork. And I have made selection of Aholiab with him, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, and in the hearts of all who are wise I have put the knowledge to make whatever I have given you orders to have made. The tent of meeting, and the ark of the law, and the cover which is on it, and all the things for the tent, and the table with its vessels, and the holy light support with all its vessels, and the altar for the burning of spices, and the altar of burning offerings with all its vessels, and the washing vessel with its base, and the robes of needlework, the holy robes for Aaron and for his sons, for their use when acting as priests, and the holy oil and the perfume of sweet spices for the holy place. They will do whatever I have given you orders to have done." And the Lord said to Moshe, "Say to the children of Israel that they are to keep my Shabbats, for the Shabbat day is a sign between me and you through all your generations, so that you may see that I am the Lord who makes you holy. So you are to keep the Shabbat as a holy day, and anyone not honoring it will certainly be put to death. Whoever does any work on that day will be cut off from his people. 6 days may work be done, but the seventh day is a Shabbat of complete rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Shabbat day is to be put to death. And the children of Israel are to keep the Shabbat holy from generation to generation, by an eternal agreement. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever, because in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he took his rest and had pleasure in it." And when his talk with Moshe on Mount Sinai was ended, he gave him 2 stones of the law, 2 stones on which was writing made by the finger of God. And when the people saw that Moshe was a long time coming down from the mountain, they all came to Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us a god to go before us. As for this Moshe, who took us up out of the land of Egypt, we have no idea what has become of him." Then Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold rings which are in the ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters, and give them to me." And all the people took the gold rings from their ears and gave them to Aaron. And he took the gold from them, and, hammering it with an instrument, he made it into the metal image of a young ox. And they said, "This is your God, O Yisrael, who took you out of the land of Egypt." And when Aaron saw this, he made an altar before it, and made a public statement, saying, "Tomorrow there will be a feast to the Lord." So early on the day after they got up and made burnt offerings and peace offerings, and took their seats at the feast, and then gave themselves to pleasure. And the Lord said to Moshe, Go down quickly, for your people, whom you took out of the land of Egypt, are turned to evil ways. Even now they are turned away from the rule I gave them, and have made themselves a metal ox and given worship to it, and offerings, saying, This is your God, O Israel, who took you up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said to Moshe, I have been watching this people, and I see that they are a stiff-necked people. Now do not get in my way, for my wrath is burning against them. I will send destruction on them, but of you I will make a great nation. But Moshe made prayer to God, saying, Lord, why is your wrath burning against your people, whom you took out of the land of Egypt with great power, and with the strength of your hand? Why let the Egyptians say, He took them out to an evil fate, to put them to death on the mountains, cutting them off from the earth? Let your wrath be turned away from them, and send not this evil on your people. Have in mind Abraham, Yitzhak, and Israel, your servants, to whom you gave your oath, saying, I will make your seed like the stars of heaven in number, and all this land I will give to your seed, as I said, to be their heritage forever. So the Lord let himself be turned from his purpose of sending punishment on his people. Then Moshe came down the mountain with the 2 stones of the law in his hand. The stones had writing on their 2 sides, on the front and on the back. The stones were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God cut onto these stones. Now when the noise and the voices of the people came to the ears of Yehoshua, he said to Moshe, There is a noise of war in the tents. And Moshe said, It is not the voice of men who are overcoming in a fight, or the cry of those who have been overcome. It is the sound of songs which comes to my ear. And when he came near the tents, he saw the image of the ox, and the people dancing, and in his wrath Moshe let the stones go from his hands, and they were broken at the foot of the mountain. And he took the ox which they had made, burning it in the fire and crushing it into powder, and he put it in the water, and made the children of Israel take a drink from it. And Moshe said to Aaron, What did the people do to you, that you let this great sin come on them? And Aaron said, Let not my Lord be angry. You have seen how the purposes of this people are evil. For they said to me, Make us a god to go before us. As for this Moshe, who took us up out of the land of Egypt, we have no idea what has come to him. Then I said to them, Whoever has any gold, let him take it off. So they gave it to me, and I put it in the fire, and this image of an ox came out. And Moshe saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had let them loose to their shame before their haters. Then Moshe took his place at the way into the tents, and said, Whoever is on the Lord's side, let him come to me. And all the sons of Levi came together to him, and he said to them, This is the word of the Lord, the God of Israel. Let every man take his sword at his side, and go from one end of the tents to the other, putting to death his brother and his friend and his neighbor. And the sons of Levi did as Moshe said, and about 3,000 of the people were put to death that day. And Moshe said, You have made yourselves priests to the Lord this day, for every one of you has made the offering of his son and his brother. The blessings of the Lord is on you this day. And on the day after, Moshe said to the people, Great has been your sin, but I will go up to the Lord, and see if I may get forgiveness for your sin. Then Moshe went back to the Lord and said, This people has done a great sin, making themselves a god of gold. But now, if you will give them forgiveness, but if not, let my name be taken out of your book. And the Lord said to Moshe, Whoever has done evil against me will be taken out of my book. But now, go, take the people into the place of which I have given you word. See, my angel will go before you, but when the time of my judging has come, I will send punishment on them for their sin. And the Lord sent punishment on the people because they gave worship to the ox which Aaron had made. And the Lord said to Moshe, Go forward from this place, you and the people whom you have taken up out of the land of Egypt, to that land about which I made an oath to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, saying, To your seed will I give it. And I will send an angel before you, driving out the Canaanite, and the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Go up to that land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go up among you, for you are a stiff-necked people, for fear that I send destruction on you while you are on the way. Hearing this bad news, the people were full of grief, and no one put on his ornaments. And the Lord said to Moshe, Say to the children of Israel, You are a stiff-necked people. If I come among you, even for a minute, I will send destruction on you. So take off all your ornaments, so that I may see what to do with you. So the children of Israel took off their ornaments at Mount Horeb, and did not put them on again. Now it was Moshe's way to put up the tent of meeting outside the tent circle, at some distance away, giving it the name of the tent of meeting. And everyone desiring to make his prayer to the Lord went to the tent of meeting outside the tent circle. And whenever Moshe went out to the tent of meeting, all the people got up and everyone went to the door of his tent, looking after Moshe until he went inside the tent. And whenever Moshe went into the tent, the pillar of cloud came down and took its place by the door of the tent, as long as the Lord was talking with Moshe. And all the people saw the cloud at the door of the tent, and they went down on their faces, everyone at the door of his tent. And the Lord spoke with Moshe face to face, as a man may speak with his friend. And when Moshe came back to the tents, his servant, the young man Yehoshua, the son of Nun, did not come away from the tent. And Moshe said to the Lord, See, you say to me, Be this people's guide on their journey, but you have not made clear to me whom you will send with me. But you have said, I have knowledge of you by name, and you have grace in my eyes. If then I have grace in your eyes, let me see your ways, so that I may have knowledge of you and be certain of your grace. And my prayer is that you will keep in mind that this nation is your people. And he said, I myself will go with you and give you rest. And Moshe said, If you yourself are not going with us, do not send us on from here. For is not the fact that you are going with us the sign that I and this people have grace in your eyes, so that we, that is, I and your people, are separate from all the other people on the face of the earth? And the Lord said to Moshe, I will do as you say, for you have grace in my eyes, and I have knowledge of you by your name. And Moshe said, O Lord, let me see your glory. And he said, I will make all the light of my being come before you, and will make clear to you what I am. I will be kind to those to whom I will be kind, and have mercy on those on whom I will have mercy. But it is not possible for you to see my face, for no man may see me and still go on living. And the Lord said, See, there is a place near me, and you may take your place on the rock. And when my glory goes by, I will put you in a hole in the rock, covering you with my hand until I have gone past. Then I will take away my hand, and you will see my back, but my face is not to be seen. So there's three things I'd like to draw your attention to in the reading from today. First thing being that when the Israelites want Aaron to make a new god for them, right? Aaron makes this golden calf. He takes their gold and he makes a golden calf out of it, and he says, This is your God who brought you up out of Egypt, and then says shortly after, tomorrow we will hold a feast to Yahweh. So it's not that the Israelites are choosing and worshiping some other god, right? It's that Aaron makes a god, makes the image of Yahweh that they can understand, right? It's like the Israelites are fine with Yahweh being their God. They just want to understand and worship him in ways that they're used to, being pagans in Egypt, essentially. And so that's an interesting to think about. In the beginning of Genesis, it says that God made mankind in his image. But it seems what's happening here and what God is upset about is that the Israelites are making God in their image. So that's interesting to think about. Second thing, Moses going up the mountain. He goes to make intercession. He goes to make atonement for Israel. And that's, it can be read in two different ways. But what happens is he goes and he says, God, please forgive these Israelites. But if you don't forgive them, blot me out of your book. Now, you can either read that as one, if you kill all of them, I want you to kill me too. Like, I don't want to be a part of this without them, which is Moses, interceding on behalf of Israel. He's willing to give his life for them. Or you can read it the other way as simply kill me instead of them, which is another intercessory moment. I think it's beautiful. Maybe beautiful is not the right word, but the theme of the intercessor is prevailing throughout the entire biblical narrative, and we see it happening right here. And then the third thing, which I just think is an interesting detail that I've never noticed before, but when Moses goes down and he stands at the doors of the tents and he says, any of you who are on Yahweh's side, come to me. And they, it's Aaron and the priests, and, the tribe of Levi or whatever go over to him. And Moses says, this is the word of the Lord, that you're to go through and kill your neighbor and your brother, whatever. Like, it's a odd reaction. But the detail that I think is interesting is when it says 3,000 lives were lost that day, or 3,000 men were killed that day. I already recognize that in Acts chapter 2, when the apostles are getting the tongues of fire and they're speaking in tongues and talking to people and everybody's hearing them in their own language. I know that that's supposed to be kind of a Mount Sinai round 2, right? You have the Mount Sinai where Moses gives the Torah, and then you have Mount Sinai-esque moment where the apostles are giving a revelation on the day of Pentecost. which Pentecost is the day celebrated of the giving of the law. So that's already parallel. But just that idea that in the first account you have 3,000 people were killed that day, and then in the Acts 2 account, 3,000 people were saved and added to the church that day. So just interesting things to think about, but I hope you have a wonderful day.